Hi, I'm Andy Opsahl, Features Editor for Government Technology. A nationwide trend toward green technology is surging, and that momentum is reaching local government. Mayors have an advantage of passing green government initiatives because they have fewer decision makers to persuade than a state or U.S. senator or governor. The U.S. Conference of Mayors recently gathered in Seattle for its third annual Climate Protection Summit. The event headlined former President Bill Clinton, former Vice President Al Gore via satellite, and New York Mayor Michael Bloomberg. Seattle Mayor Greg Nichols announced that more than 700 mayors had signed on to the organization's Climate Protection Agreement, a document committing them to various energy efficiency measures.
It seemed to me, as the Kyoto Protocol became law in 141 countries, but not the United States of America, that there was a chance for us as mayors to take that moment and make a difference. And so it is with great pride that we announce this week that over 700 mayors have now signed on to take local action in their communities to meet or exceed the reductions called for in that treaty. It was my great pleasure earlier this week to report back to the citizens of Seattle that we have reduced our emissions by 8% from 1990 levels. But the job isn't done. If we do nothing more, we will slip. We will not be able to maintain that.
Waukesha, Wisconsin Mayor Larry Nelson said he noticed a huge difference in the commitment of his colleagues to pursuing green technologies compared to last year's conference. Nelson said that last year he thought many mayors seemed to offer lip service to the green agenda.
Where are we? End of 2007, a year and a half later, it's gone from 100 mayors to over 700 mayors signing on. I think there is a momentum and an enthusiasm. We just heard a satellite speech from former Vice President Gore. I do think his being awarded the Nobel Peace Prize is very significant because for most people that's recognized not as a political award but as saying here's someone who's doing something good for humankind, and other than the most partisan people, I don't see criticism there. So I think I think last year maybe was the tipping point. Now we're on the turning point, and I would be very surprised if the new president from either party does not make this a priority.
The second major piece of news to come out at the summit came from Bill Clinton. He announced that all cities in the U.S. Conference of Mayors, more than 1,100, would be included in the Clinton Climate Initiative's Green Technology Purchasing Consortium. This allows those cities to jointly bulk purchase green technologies.
When we begin to collaborate with you on new technologies that can help the cities, we'll go back to the product suppliers with aggregate purchasing volumes that will be so much greater, we'll get even lower prices and therefore accelerate the market deployment of green technologies and create jobs in your cities.
Clinton said the collaboration offered mayors a chance to be global thought leaders.
The dimensions of this are almost staggering. The potential is almost too great to contemplate if we can really do this from top to bottom. And you can be the model if you can show how this can be done. And as you do it, I promise you there are mayors in other countries who don't want to wait for their countries to get the show on the road either, who will try to emulate what you're doing.
Most agree the cost savings from energy efficiency is truly what propels today's green technology craze. But Al Gore urged mayors to think of this movement as a way to protect their children from the so-called effects of man-made global warming.
For those of us who have children, and some of us have grandchildren who are old as I am, you know, this is just very basic. It's a moral issue. It's an ethical issue. It's really, in a way, a spiritual issue involving our definition of who we are as human beings and whether or not we have any obligation to those who come after us.
Many speakers at the conference emphasized the need for the state and federal governments to collaborate with local governments on climate change initiatives. They argue this would enable green consistency across the U.S. So Minneapolis, Minnesota Mayor R.T. Ryback asked Gore if he would aggressively lobby Washington alongside mayors for federal green legislation. The former vice president's answer?
Does Howdy Doody float?
Most in the audience took that to mean yes. For GTTV, I'm Andy Opsahl.